The environment has become...
What we're saying is have a heart.
We've got to be able to regenerate our
There'll
economy.
be people who are kind, people who are cruel, but that's life. You can be bigoted about pigeons. I'm fine with that.
What's wrong with Singaporeans?
Let's look at government policy first. Fertility began declining in the 1970s. In the 1960s, total fertility rate, TFR, stood at around 6 children per woman. Aggressive government campaigns to reduce the TFR was implemented in the late 1960s, throughout the 1970s and into the early 80s. Things like no maternity leave for the third child, no priority for primary 1 registration for the third and subsequent child, and so on. Unless, of course, the parent underwent sterilization. These all seem quite draconian. They were highly successful, and we had zero population growth by 1986. However, the government reversed its population planning policy to encourage Singaporean couples to have 3 or more children if the family finances permit. Now, it's arguable that these measures were the result of our declining population.
I definitely felt that the stop at 2 policy that Mr. Lee Kuan Yew proposed at that time was wrong. And I think now he realizes it. I think he's admitting that he was wrong. Because from what I know, being an ex-ISD officer, Dr. Toh Chin Chye opposed this proposal. And till the day Dr. Toh Chin Chye died, they were still in disagreement over this policy. Dr. Toh Chin Chye said it would not work. I think subsequently when the government encouraged people to have more children, they realized it was wrong. But it became a little bit too late for us.
It's not really about government policies, but actually because of our life generally improving, education level and everything. So perhaps even without government policy, this would happen, because right now, if you were to touch your heart, if let's say government say, okay, you can have as many kids as you want, we give you grants and everything, which they are now giving, but with our current lifestyle, I don't think many of them can actually afford it. It's not the money, but the time, and also the effort that they have to spend in doing all this. Yeah, that's what I feel.
Well, to play the devil's advocate, I suppose at that time probably
It was
necessary.
considered
It was
correct.
necessary because we have a very long baby boomer period. Singapore, if you look at Japan, the baby boom period is 1947 to 1949, but Singapore is much longer. It's 1947 to 1964 or so. So there was a need. It was a baby boom period for so long. So there was a need. I suppose the government felt that was the best, most effective ways to cut down the number of mouths that you have to feed and so forth. But I think at the same time we were urbanizing. The whole society and the whole world, Asia was urbanizing. So in retrospect, I suppose even without such drastic policy, you would have a more gradual curve of falling TFR, comparing with a very
Without accelerating
sharp
it.
one of having a zero population growth as fast as 1986. I think it was considered a very successful population policy at
Yes.
that time. Yes.
And the objectives were met because they were worried about having too many mouths to feed. The only
Yeah.
problem was that they didn't consider the result that the total
Yeah.
falling population went below 0.
Yes.
That's
And,
what I
and the
meant.
worst is maybe the government thought that, well, if we can go down so fast, we can go up in the same place with policy encouragement. But
I agree with you. They never thought that putting the stop, they could pull that was the assumption.
They
That's
could
why
reverse
they
the trend.
built KK so big. It was a baby factory. 3-4 floors were closed because, it didn't happen. So it really is one of the policies that backfired,
Definitely.
Why definitely, Bill?
Because now they realize that they're facing this problem.
Yeah, but other countries also face the problem of declining population.
I don't know whether
We
have
faced
other
it earlier.
Yeah.
What one is
So
saying
it
is that
accelerated the process.
we accelerated because I agree with you.
But it's inevitable that
It
this
is
situation
happening
will happen.
all over. It is not. It's in Sweden. It's in and they are giving very generous. You know, in Sweden,
incentives.
very. But people are saying no, it's too much. I need my time. Couples get married. I don't want to have children because I want to have time.
We'll become a more selfish society.
I think, as you said, we have become better. Now in India, what happens? More children means more workers, people to get. You know, it's a different. In Indonesia, same thing. That's what I understand from some of my Indonesian friends. You know.
You see it even in India.
Mm.
It's declined dramatically, the TFI.
In the urban areas.
Yeah, not in the urban areas. It really connects to how well the economy of the individual is doing. I think policy has probably made some kind of impact, but the big impact is a natural impact which comes when two people go to work and when they don't have time and they don't need or they don't feel the need to have many children. It becomes more part and it's actually happened everywhere. When the economic growth takes off, population, TFI goes down. The problem is how do you adjust the economics of a country? How do you adjust when you have fewer younger people to take care of older people? It's a huge adjustment. Do people have to work longer? Big question.
Thank you. With that, we'll move back to the question of aging in Singapore, okay, rather than procreation.